In today's class, we are going to see another abrasive machining process, that is called ultrasonic machining process. The ultrasonic machining process comes under one of the advanced machining processes, or unconventional machining processes, or non-traditional machining process. These are the synonyms for the advanced manufacturing processes. So, only we are going to look at the advanced machining processes that are involved with abrasive particles. The overview of the lecture. So, introduction to ultrasonics. What is ultrasonics? Because you are going to study about ultrasonic machining, so you should know what is ultrasonics, the working principle of ultrasonic machining, then the mechanism of material removal, and what are the models like heating model and other things. The parametric analysis of ultrasonic machining, then the capabilities of ultrasonic machining and applications where you are going to use this particular process. So, what is ultrasonics? Normally, these are the vibratory waves having frequency greater than the upper frequency of the human ear. That means that it should be higher the frequency of what we can hear. Okay. So, normally the limitation is 16 kilohertz, and the type of waves, there are varieties of waves, but we are going to see about the two varieties. One is the shear waves, another one is longitudinal waves that are used in ultrasonics, at the same time easily propagate to the solids and liquids as well as gases. These are the longitudinal waves, and what we are going to see in the particularly ultrasonic machining is longitudinal waves. Just we give the frequency and amplitude so that it will reciprocate in a ultrasonic range. See, as I said, these are the longitudinal waves. So, longitudinal waves, how we are going to get? We are going to get by the longitudinal magnetostriction. So, if a ferromagnetic material is placed in a continuously changing magnetic field, then what will happen? It will result in a change in the length of the transducer. That means that it will change the length. If there is a change in the length, that means that length is varying, delta L is coming into picture. So, the magnetostriction type transducers, there are varieties, but Ni permalloy is there, permdur will be there. So, nickel permalloy will consist of 45% of nickel, 55% of iron will be there. Permdur will have 49% of cobalt, 49% of iron, and 2% of vanadium is there. And in order to reduce the eddy current losses and other things, normally these transducers are made up of laminated sheets. That is one of the advancements in the ultrasonic machining process in the transducer section is concerned. Type of magnetism, as you are well aware of, varieties of magnetism will be there, that paramagnetism, ferromagnetism, antiferromagnetism and ferrimagnetism and other things. In the paramagnetism, the basic thing is that in a unmagnetized material, basically if you are not putting any magnet, if the material is not experiencing any magnetism, the atomic moment or the atomic magnetic moments are randomly oriented. As you can see here in the figure 1, this atomic magnetic moments are in randomly oriented. When the magnetic field is applied, what will happen? These all will align in one direction. Okay. So, that is called the ferromagnetic dipole rotate into align along with the field. See, this magnetic field is a vector sum of the atomic dipole moment. Okay. Like this it will arrange. The ferromagnetic materials have those materials such as iron and nickel that are able to maintain their magnetic properties even after the magnetic field is removed. That is what is that whenever we are going to use, you will use ferromagnetic materials, even though if you are not applying any magnetic field, it will have its own alignment of dipoles. Okay. There is no requirement of you have to give some magnetic field or something. It is not that. So, in a normal materials, if at all in the normal state, these dipole moments are randomly oriented. If you put into the magnetic field, then it will align along the direction of the field and it will give some dipole moment, and the vector sum will give you a complete thing. Then if you are choosing instead of that particular material, if you are choosing it a ferromagnetic material, there is no requirement of magnetic field or requirement of magnetic field will be there, but even though you remove it, what will happen? You will have the dipole moment. Even though you remove, there will be the dipole moment. So, ultrasonic transducer, normally it converts any form of energy into ultrasonic waves. In the current work, what we are going to see is electrical energy. Normally you supply the electrical energy, then it will convert into mechanical energy, where high frequency vibrations are produced in particularly in the ultrasonic machining process. Coming to the working principle of ultrasonic machining process. So, the introduction to ultrasonic machining is a mechanical type of non-traditional machining process. As I said in the first slide, it is one of the non-traditional or advanced machining processes. Normally this is employed to machine hard and brittle materials. Okay. So, both electrically conductive or non-conductive, irrespective of electrically conductive or non-conductive, having hardness values usually greater than 40 RC. It uses a shape tool, basically depend on your shape, that I assume that I want to get a hole, circular hole. So, you have to get a circular type of cylinder type of work tool. So, cylindrical type of shape tool. So, high frequency mechanical motion is required to the tool, and the abrasive slurry also should be there. If the abrasive slurry is there, then what will happen? It will reciprocate and there will be a mechanical action. In the USM, material is removed by the abrasive grains, which are driven into the workpiece surface by the tool oscillating normal to the work surface, because of which the material removal will take place. To understand the working principle of ultrasonic machining, consider a particle P thrown into the wax wall at a certain force F. It will penetrate into the wall to a length, and USM almost work in the similar way. Okay. So, the throwing force is contributed by the tool oscillating at. So, what it that means is, there is a wax wall is there, just throw a stone or you just throw a particle with respect to P, what will happen? It will go and indent into the wall. Okay. Similarly, in ultrasonic tool will be there, which is continuously increasing and decreasing its length. So, your slurry is going in between, and this will going to hit the abrasive particles, and abrasive particles go gain the kinetic energy, and this kinetic energy will go and hit the workpiece surface, so that the material removal will take place. So, for the better explanation, schematic diagrams and other things are there in the upcoming slides. Electrical energy normally is converted into the high frequency into the mechanical vibrations, and these are the transducers. As I said, magnetostrictive transducers and piezoelectric transducers. The basic problem with the magnetostrictive transducers is its low efficiency, at the same time high power capacity will be there. But in a piezoelectric transducers, you will have high energy efficiency. That means that efficiency is good, that means that your output also very good. No cooling is required. In a magnetostrictive other things, what will happen? You have to put magnetic field to cool the magnetic coils. You need to have the cooling arrangement and other things. So, there is no cooling requirement for piezoelectric type of thing, but you require cooling for the magnetostrictive type. No heat damage to the liability and low power capacity. Here capacity in magnetostrictive is very high, and but if you see in case of piezoelectric transducers, it is low. That means that always if you see the piezoelectric type of transducers are preferred for the ultrasonic machining process. Working of ultrasonic system. So, how it works? AC power supply, just supply a current or the power, you supply the power, then it converts into the ultrasonic wave. You just supply the AC power to the ultrasonic waves generator. Now, ultrasonic wave generator possesses the ultrasonic transducer, which is connected to the tool, and this ultrasonic transducer produces the ultrasonic vibrations, and these vibrations are fed or given to the tool. This vibrating tool will hit the abrasive particles, and these abrasive particles will hit the workpiece, and the kinetic energy or hammering action of the abrasive particles on the workpiece will remove the material. This is how the ultrasonic system, complete system works. Okay. So, what we are interested is what is happening in the machining region of ultrasonic machining, that we will see here in the principle. When the machining zone, that is between the tool and the workpiece, is flooded with the hard abrasive particles, generally in the form of water and slurry. Normally what will happen, you have abrasive particles which are blended with water or any carrier medium. The tool vibrates over the workpiece, the abrasive particles act as an indenter and indent both on the workpiece as well as tool. That means that the slurry comes in between the tool and workpiece, but the workpiece is stationary and your tool is vibrating. Assume that your tool is like this straight and it is vibrating like this. So, whatever the abrasive particles come here, it will hit, so that your workpiece is at the bottom. So, it goes and the abrasive particles goes and hit the workpiece. If the workpiece is brittle, the brittle fragments will comes out by brittle fracture. Okay. The ultrasonic machining material removal is due to crack initiation, that is what I said, if the workpiece material is brittle, and propagation and brittle fracture of the material. Okay. Schematic diagram, if you see whatever I am saying in the previously, this is a transducer winding if you are going for magnetostrictive and other things. This is the connector and abrasive slurry. So, abrasive slurry is fed between the workpiece and tool, and what will happen, this magnetostrictive winding is supplied, then what will happen, this transducer elongates and shrinks, okay, because of which what will happen, you will see in the next slides. This is how the originally the setup looks like, original setup. And if you see here what is happening, this is the shape that I want to generate. To explain you, normally there are 3 types of geometries are given. So, if at all I want to generate, what will happen, this will reciprocate, that means that change in length, because the tool vibrates thousands of times each second with no side or side motion. There is no side motion, only it moves in a vertical motion. Abrasive particle strikes the workpiece at 1.5 lakhs times to their own weight. That means that the kinetic energy that it gains will have impact on the workpiece, and the workpiece removes the material in the form of brittle fragments. Okay. Normally the slurry, if you see, water along with the abrasive particles are fed here. Okay. So, if you enlarge this particular portion, and if you see here, so just you enlarge this particular portion, and if you see here what will happen, these abrasive particles are coming here along with the water, which is nothing but a slurry, and this is reciprocating, my tool is reciprocating. What will happen, if the tool is, assume that this is my tool and abrasive particle is here, what it gains is, whenever it is reciprocating like this, the kinetic energy will carry to the abrasive particle, and the abrasive particle, assume that my workpiece is here. So, abrasive particle will move like this and creates the crater. Okay. So, kinetic energy of the particle will come and hit the workpiece, and the workpiece will take the shape of whatever the shape that is given on the tool. That means that the tool's converse shape will be taken in the workpiece. Ultrasonic machining, if you want to see in the schematic way, so the abrasive slurry is fed like this, and the tool is there, and transducer is there. This transducer gives the vibrations, and the tool vibrates like this, and you will get the required or the converse shape of the workpiece. And if you see the mechanism, this is the tool, it is unable to see, this is the tool and this is the workpiece. Okay, workpiece you can see here. So, the abrasive particles are hitting with the kinetic energy, and whatever the shape is there, that shape you can generate on the workpiece material. That means that the converse shape of the tool will be generated on the workpiece surface. The mechanism and models of the material removal, normally the mechanism as well as the models, there are some of the models proposed by the famous people, and we are not going to study all the models, we are just going to see one of the models. See, ultrasonic generator is there, which is connected to the tool. Whenever the ultrasonic generator produces the ultrasonic vibrations, that means that this type of vibrations, what will happen is abrasive particles gains the energy. Assume that my abrasive particle is here, what it is going to do? It going to gain the kinetic energy and tries to move towards the workpiece. Don't think that this particular space is very large or something, it is in maximum few millimeters, or normally it will be in the range of few microns or 1 mm or something. Okay. So, it will be within this distance the complete mechanism is taking place. Okay. If you see the acoustic streaming, normally excited abrasive, what will happen whenever the kinetic energy is given to the abrasive particle here, it gains the kinetic energy and excites, and it will come and hit the workpiece. So, the material will be removed. Okay. The mode 1, the material removal is erosion, that means that whenever the abrasive particle will hit, so the erosion action takes place. The mode 2 will be like colliding or sliding. Whenever it comes in the sliding position or whenever it collides, basically the workpiece hardness is much lower compared to tool hardness, that means that the abrasive particle hardness. The common used abrasives are silicon carbide, alumina, boron carbide and other things. The workpiece material is like stainless steel or some other materials. Okay. The mode C will be small scale removal action, that means that whenever the surface hits with low kinetic energy, it is not like that all the particles which are coming in get the same amount of energy. Some of the abrasive particles will get the energy from the starting position, so that they have very good kinetic energy to carry out. Some of the abrasive particles will be touching the tool when it is moving back to its original position. So, it is not that all the particles will gain the same amount of energy. So, there are 3 modes, and this regarding these modes we will see what is the penetration levels, what is the shape and other things we will see. The material removal mechanism model is proposed by Professor Shah. Abrasive particles are assumed to be spherical and shape having diameter of d. Okay. So, abrasive particles suspended in a carrier move under the high frequency vibrating tool. That means that all the abrasive particles that you are feeding in the previous figures are moving under or beneath the tool. That means that we are assuming all the particles are going. Practically it is not so, but for modeling application normally we will see that for the simplification of the model, we assume that all the particles are reaching to the beneath the tool, where the kinetic energy is transformed from the tool to the abrasive particle. Material removal during ultrasonic machining is due to cavitation under the tool, and the chemical erosion due to the slurry are considered insignificant. That means that this type of mechanism also is there, like cavitation as well as chemical erosion and other things. Okay. Those are all considered insignificant. That means that the material removal action is taken care purely by the mechanical action of the abrasive particle. Hence, the material removal due to these 2 factors has been ignored. Contribution to the material removal of the abrasive particles is due to throwing and hammering actions have been analyzed. That means that whenever you are considering the chemical corrosion as well as the cavitation is negligible, then the only 2 options are mechanical options, that is throwing and hammering actions are analyzed. Okay. So, that means that there are 4 mechanisms to be followed, that is throwing of abrasives, hammering of abrasives, and this particular model consider these 2 only. Okay. So, other 2 things like a cavitation in the fluid medium arising out of the ultrasonic vibrations of the tool and chemical erosion due to micro agitations these two are neglected. Okay. So, what we are going to see is the throwing model as well as the hammering. These are the two actions how these are going to take place in the material removal action. Being a mechanical engineer or a manufacturing engineer, we worry mostly about the mechanical action. That is why Shaw considered this particular throwing as well as hammering mechanisms only. So, the model 1, that is the grain throwing model, just I am not going in deeply of these models because it has a big derivations and other things. So, just in a slide I just give you the glimpse. It is assumed that the particle hit and thrown by the tool into the workpiece surface. That means that the abrasive particles come in contact with respect to the tool and it gets the kinetic energy and this is thrown onto the workpiece. Whenever it thrown, what will happen? The material removal takes place. Assuming the sinusoidal vibration and the displacement y of the tool is given by the equation, where t is the time period and a by 2 is the amplitude of the oscillation. Normally, it is assumed that sinusoidal vibrations are given, and where is the t in the equation, if you see this particular equation where t is the time period and a by 2 is nothing but your amplitude of the oscillation. Okay. So, from this model what is you are going to get is these sinusoidal vibrations are throwing the abrasive particles. Whenever they throw, what will happen, that it gains the kinetic energy from the tool and goes and hits the workpiece. That is, this model specifies. If you see the grain hammering model, when the gap between tool and the workpiece is smaller than the diameter of the grit, that means that the abrasive particle, it will result in partial penetration into the tool as well as into the workpiece. Okay. That means that hammering will takes place, because if the abrasive particle is much bigger than the gap, what will happen? Continuous hammering will takes place, because your tool is changing its length longitudinally. If a tool is changing your length and in one position or almost all the positions, if the abrasive particle is big, what will happen? Continuously it is compressed, but being a brittle material, the abrasive particle will not compress. What it will do? It will indent into the tool material as well as it will indent into the workpiece material also. That is called hammering. Continuously hammering is taking place because of the vibrations effect of the tool. The value HW will depend on the hardness of the tool and the workpiece material respectively. Okay. So, HT1 into the tool, HW is into the workpiece. What we want is not into the tool, what we want is HW, that is how much is penetrating inside the workpiece material to make the required shape. This indentation of HW always will be function of the workpiece material mostly and partially the tool material also. We have seen three modes of material removal, that is erosion, colliding and sliding action of the abrasive particles, and small scale removal by the exciting of this one. If you see the size 0.5 to 5 microns normally, if you see the collide distance, it gives the depth 0.05 and the shape normally it gives the round marks. Basically erosion will give the round marks. Okay. If you see the colliding or the sliding action, what will happen? Normally the size will be 0.3 to 1.5 microns, where the depth it can create is maximum is 0.3 microns, and irregular shape marks, wedge shape pits or scratches are normally seen. Okay. In a small scale removal of action by the exciting, that is a mode C, basically the size is 40 to 60 nanometers and 3 to 6 nanometers of this thing, and nanoscale marks will be there. That we have seen, as I was saying, that small scale removal will be because it is not true that all abrasive particles will touch the tool in the forward motion only. It may touch during the reverse motion also. So, the kinetic energy gained by the abrasive particle, which is a part of the slurry, will have less kinetic energy, and since it is much harder compared to the workpiece material, it has its own impact, but the kinetic energy that gained by that particular abrasive is less, because of which what will happen, small scale removal will takes place. Okay. If you see the input parameters and other things, the first one is workpiece parameters, that is the just we will see the fishbone diagram of the ultrasonic machining process, wherein how the output responses like material removal, tool wear rate, cutting ratio, surface finish, all this will depend on various input parameters. The first input parameter that we are going to see is the workpiece properties, that is nothing but the hardness of the workpiece, type of the material, like whether it is a brittle material or a ductile material, strength of the material and thickness of the material. If the workpiece thickness is too high, what will happen? It will take more time to remove the material. The slurry, that is nothing but the abrasive particles as well as the carrier medium like water or some other liquids. So, the feeding system, how you are feeding, whether you are feeding with force, whether you are feeding by the gravitational action or something. Temperature of the slurry, if the temperature of the slurry also play a major role, and the volume fraction of abrasive particles to the carrier medium and the concentration, how much concentration that we are sending, and on the other side abrasive type that you are going to mix with the carrier medium, grit size, and the liquid media, what is the type of liquid media that you are going to use, and viscosity. Normally viscosity should be low, so that what will happen, it can reach to the complex surfaces of the tool, so that the same converse shape can be developed on the workpiece surface. So, coming to the machine parameters, the normally the frequency of the tool and the amplitude how you are giving, these are the most important. If the amplitude is very high, depth of indentation of the abrasive particle will be very high, because the kinetic energy it receives from the tool will be very high. At the same time, if the frequency is very high, what will happen is number of abrasives touching the workpiece will be very high. The static load, how much load you are, and the piezo type, which type of piezo you are going to use, and magnetic power input and other things will play the major role. Among all these things, frequency and amplitude are the major things that should be noted. And the tool, normally the tool material and the ductility of the material and the surface finish. If the tool itself is very rough, what is you are going to get is the workpiece also will get the very rough. Okay. So, whether the tool you are going to have a single point or multi-point holes, that means that in a same go you can also generate the multiple holes also of different shapes. You have seen schematic diagrams, at the same time you will see at the end also in the applications, and the geometry, what type of geometry. If the geometry is very complicated, then the time requirement also will be very high. The tool holder, normally tool holder material as well as the shape will play a major role in the input parameters. Okay. These are the main 5 input parameter, that is slurry, tool holder, machine as well as the workpiece material. These parameters influence the output responses that are required. If you are looking at the material removal rate, that means that your main concern is about to remove the material. If you are looking at the surface finish, then that means that you are looking at the ultrasonic surface finishing and other things. Elements we have seen mostly, but we will see individually what its functions under the sink. Sine wave generator, transducer, tool holder, materials for tool holder, tool as well as the abrasive particles. These are the elements of the ultrasonic machining system. These elements, if you see the sine wave generator normally converts a 60 Hz to less than 16 kHz normally. The transducer, basically piezoelectric crystals which are normally available is quartz. It will have the good efficiency about 95%. Magnetostrictive transducers normally up to 2.4 kilowatts, where the efficiency is 20 to 30 only, that is why, and the cooling is essential and other things, and the maximum amplitude is 25 microns. This is about the magnetostrictive transducers. Tool holder, normally non-amplifying and amplifying varieties will be there, and 10 times of higher amplitude than the non-amplifying will give the amplifying one. Transmit the energy, that means that tool holder's main function is to transmit the energy to the tool. The tool holder materials normally will be using is Monel, which is other materials are normally used material is the Monel, and you can also use the stainless steel and titanium. These have the good acoustic properties and high resistance to fatigue crack, and should avoid welding between tool holder and transducer. Okay. So, the tool holder and transducers are there. Transducer gives some vibrations, and according to that tool holder will move. So, the Monel have good brazing and acoustic property, that is why it is mostly used in the ultrasonic machining process, and at the same time used for the low amplitude applications only. High amplitude applications required good fatigue strength and other things. So, some of the other things some of the other elements of this ultrasonic system is tool. The material is normally mild steel or stainless steel will be used. Other materials are brass, ductile, high wear resistance. Surface condition, normally you require good surface finish, no scratches, because the surface finish and scratches will replicate its roughness and the machining marks. Okay. The tool design consideration for the overcut, normally whenever you want to design a particular tool, you have to always careful about the overcut and other things. Okay. It should minimize the fatigue problems by silver brazing to the tool and tool holder. Normally this welding and other things will be reduced basically. So, in order to reduce the fatigue problems, silver brazing of the tool and tool holder will be done in most of the cases. So, the abrasive particles that are used in ultrasonic machining processes, boron carbide, alumina as well as silicon carbide, these are the common materials. As you know, conventional machining and other things you might have come across that your tool material should be much harder than the workpiece material. So, same holds good for ultrasonic machining also, because ultrasonic machining is mechanical type of advanced machining processes. You see, ultrasonic machining is one of the mechanical type of advanced machining processes. That is why you should always get the tool material harder than the workpiece material. The selection criteria, normally the abrasive particle hardness, size, life, cost, because normally as I said in India we can get 1 kg of silicon carbide of mesh size 220 below 500 rupees nowadays. So, it is not a costly process, only thing is that you need to make your transducer, tool holder and other things. Okay. You can develop your own setup at your laboratory with a minimal price also. Okay. So, but I strongly suggest that you take the help of the other departments where they have expertise like transducers, electrical systems and other things, and you can come up with a good master's thesis or BTP project and other things. Workpiece material hardness desired for material removal rate and surface finish. The lower concentration, normally the abrasives, if you are using low concentration, deep hole drilling, complex cavities and other things. The process performance, MRR and surface finish, gain mesh size, you have to go for fine mesh size. Okay. So, if at all your mesh size is high, that means that number of holes or number of meshes per unit area will be very less. So, the abrasive particle size will go down. That means that you are going to get a super fine or ultra fine abrasive particles to be used for super finishing or finishing applications. Supply medium normally or the carrier medium will be used is water, benzene, glycerol and other things. Normally glycerol will be added in some of the magnetorheological fluids also for to avoid the sedimentation of the abrasive particles and other things. So, effect of slurry, tool and workpiece material, normally MRR, that is material removal rate, increases with respect to slurry concentration, that we will see some of the graphs in terms of performances. So, if your abrasive particles are more, what will happen? Material removal will be obviously more, because your abrasive particles, number of abrasive particles per unit time going and hitting the workpiece will be very high. So, the Slurry saturation occurs at 30 to 40% of abrasives and water mixture. That means that you are advised to not use more than 30 to 40% of abrasives in the slurry. Okay. If you are using more and more abrasive particles, then what will happen? The viscosity of the fluid will goes up, and the viscosity, if the viscosity goes up, what will happen? These slurries may not penetrate, or these slurries cannot pass in between to the tool and the workpiece material. Material removal rate drops with increasing the viscosity. That is what I was saying. If the viscosity increases, then the flowability of the slurry will decrease. If it is decreased, then the number of abrasive particles in between the tool and workpiece will be very less. The pressure with which the slurry fed into the cutting zone affects the MRR. That means that if the pressure is very high, what will happen? The flow rate of the slurry will be very high. If the flow rate of the slurry is very high, what will happen? The number of abrasives in the machining region will be very high. In some cases, MRR can be increased even 10 times by supplying the slurry at an increased pressure. That means that if the pressure is very high, that means that material removal also increases. So, the shape of the tool affects the MRR. Normally, narrower rectangle tool gives more MRR compared to square tool of the same cross section. Conical tool gives twice MRR compared to the cylindrical tool, and the brittle behavior of the material is important in determining the MRR. That means that if the material is brittle, then the material removal will be in terms of fragments. If the material is ductile, what will happen? Its yield strength and other things will play a major role. Brittle material can cut into higher rates than the ductile material. That is what? Because the brittle fracture will take place and the fragments can sail along with the carrier fluid out from the machining region. Okay. The parametric analysis, this is a glimpse what you have seen, but you see in terms of the graphs and other things. If you see the amplitude of vibration and the penetration rate, what will happen if the amplitude of vibration, assume that my vibration is this much, what will happen? So, it will be high. If my amplitude is this much, what will happen? So, the penetration of the abrasive particle will decrease. In case 1, penetration will be more, in case 2, the penetration will be less. That is what is the penetration rate is always proportional to the amplitude of the vibration. If you see the frequency of vibration with respect to penetration rate, if the frequency high, what will happen? Number of abrasive particles impact per unit time will be high. If the number of abrasives coming in contact with the workpiece is high, obviously the material removal will be very high. If the material removal is very high, the penetration obviously will increase. And the grit size, if the grit size is increasing, what will happen? You have two spectrums here. In the region 1, as you increase the abrasive grit size, that means that you are going to increase the particle size. What will happen? The material removal increases and increases and increases, but everything has its own saturation. If you are going to increase more and more, what will happen? Your force is constant because your amplitude is constant. At the same time, if you are going to use bigger size particles, hammering action will take place, and at the same time, because of the hammering, what will happen? Your abrasive particles may also break, because abrasive particles are brittle in nature. That is why you will get the decrement of material removal also in the second region. Hardness ratio, normally hardness ratio is the ratio of workpiece hardness to the tool hardness. If the hardness ratio is increasing, that means that my workpiece hardness is increasing. If the workpiece hardness increases, what will happen? The material removal normally depend on penetration. Okay, resistance to penetration is nothing but the hardness. If the hardness increases, the penetration ability of the abrasive particle will decrease. Obviously, if the penetration depth is decreasing, the material removal also will decrease. So, if you see the particle velocity, how far the particle velocity is, if the amplitude is very high, what will happen? The particle will gain more and more velocity. Along with that, you are sending the abrasive particle along with the nozzle with some pressure also. So, these are all will play a major role in increasing the particle velocity. If the particle velocity increases, the kinetic energy of the particle will be more. If the particle velocity will be more, the kinetic energy of the particle will be more, and it will come and hit the workpiece with a greater velocity. The particle will come and hit the workpiece with a greater velocity. So, the material removal or the machining rate will be continuously increasing, and the particle velocity is proportional to machining rate. If you see the concentration, as I said, normally 30 to 40 is the optimum in the abrasive slurry. Okay. So, what will happen if you are increasing the concentration? What will happen? Number of abrasive particles per unit time in the machining region will increase, beyond which if you are increasing, what will happen? The area that you are having in the tool is a constant, but if you have number of particles, the particle will also collide each other. So, the velocity may go down. Okay. That is what the collision with each other will take place. If the particles are too high, what will happen? The collision among the particles will be very high. If the collision among the particles is very high, what will happen? The velocity at which it has to go and hit the workpiece will go down. If it is go down, what will happen? If it is goes down, what will happen is that the material removal will reduce, or the machining rate will reduce. Process capabilities and applications of this particular ultrasonic machining process. Process capabilities: if the workpiece material is better for hard and brittle materials, that means nothing but HRC 40, normally carbide and ceramics will be used for machining. Surface finish that you are can achieve is 0.25 to 0.75 microns, and accuracy consistently in drilled holes normally you can achieve. And to reduce the conicity, normally what you have to provide is negative taper and high static load to the tool can be given, and out of roundness in the holes and major issues and the good tolerances you can achieve. Upper limit of the depth of the drill hole is 51 mm you can achieve, even up to 150 mm also in special cases you can achieve. So, that means that the best thing that one can achieve using ultrasonic machining is aspect ratio is 40:1. That means that aspect ratio means L by D ratio. Assume that I want to make a hole is nothing but aspect ratio. Okay. The length of the hole divided by the diameter of the hole. Okay. This is the length L and this is the diameter. Okay. So, this is nothing but the aspect ratio. So, some of the other process applications, if you see, both electrically conductive and non-conductive components can be done using this particular process. If you see electrical discharge machining and other processes, basically what you are going to do is only electrically conductive materials only you will do. Okay. But this is a mechanical action where the mechanical abrasive particles are going to hit the workpiece material. Okay. So, there is no discrimination between electrically conductive, non-conductive. You can use for the both materials, you can generate the cavities or required shapes on this workpiece material. Hard and fragile components you can achieve. Hard and fragile components can be machined using the ultrasonic machining. Also for multiple holes, example you will see in the upcoming slides. Processing of silicon nitride turbine blades can be done by this particular process. Glass and ceramics and titanium, tungsten workpieces can be done. Drilling and profiling is possible, used for conjunction. You can use for the hybridization of electrochemical machining, EDM, ECG and other things. Normally ultrasonic assisted electric discharge machining, ultrasonic assisted electrochemical grinding, these are some of the hybrid processes are there. Some of the people who are, you may be from the BTech students, so hybrid, there is some difference between hybrid and advancement. Okay. If you are mixing two processes like grinding plus EDM, that is electric discharge grinding, where you are mixing electric discharge machining as well as grinding. So, electric discharge machining and grinding, if you are mixing and you are taking it as a electric discharge grinding, that is called hybrid process, where you are mixing two technologies. So, advancement normally, what is the advancement is that EDM is there. If you find another advancement like wire EDM or another process, that is called advancement. There is no addition of some other process like grinding or milling or something. Okay. So, that is called advancement. Now for example, advancement means you have a small CRT monitor TV in olden days. Now you have a LCD, LED. This is called advancement. There is no blending of some other process or something. Okay. If you are blending two processes or three processes, then it is called hybrid process. The process capabilities, normally workpiece material, now you can go up to 40 HRC, carbide, ceramic, surface finish also you can achieve. Conicity and other things, tolerances, these are all we have seen in the upcoming slide as an aspect ratio of approximately 40:1 you can see. And this is what I was saying, that you can make multiple holes by using a multiple tool, multiple features of the tool. Okay. Electrically conductive, non-conductive and other things we have seen. If at all I want to generate this type of holes, you can choose a tool according to that. Okay. And you can do the multiple holes. That means that this particular process can give you a multiple holes or multiple features on the workpiece material simultaneously. So, you can use for the dentist holes in the teeth, like drilling, whatever you are seeing is a dentist normally uses the ultrasonic assisted drill bit, also used with the some other process. These are the applications. If you see the applications on the glasses or the many other applications you can see using ultrasonic machining. These are the some of the features developed by ultrasonic machining. Normally this particular process is very good for the brittle materials. Okay. The summary of this particular class, we have seen in the introduction to ultrasonics, how the ultrasonics are generated, how these ultrasonic waves or the amplitude of ultrasonic and frequency helps the ultrasonic machining process, and the working principle of ultrasonic machining we have seen, and the mechanism of material removal and model, which we have seen the throwing model as a hammering model. Whenever the abrasive particle size is much bigger than the gap between the tool and workpiece, normally hammering will be taking place continuously. Okay. So, these models are proposed by the Shah. The parametric analysis of the ultrasonic machining we have seen 5 input parameters, how it will influence the material removal rate, tool wear as well as the surface finish of the final component and other things we have seen. And the process capabilities we have seen, it can be used for conductive, non-conductive, it can generate a good surface finish, it can remove the material very good in brittle materials rather than the ductile materials and other things. And applications, it can be mostly used for the glasses, lenses and other things. If at all I want to generate a particular cavity, or I can generate the multiple holes or multiple features simultaneously by having a similar or converse type of tools. Okay. If at all I want to one hole, I can have one feature on my tool. If I have multiple features on my tool, I can generate converse features on the workpiece. Okay. So, thank you Professor Jain, because some of the slides I have borrowed from him. Thank you for your kind attention for this particular class. Thank you.